Trust isn't given, it's earned every flight, every day. It's not just what went wrong, it's what you do next. Small mistakes become big wins when trust is tight. If you ever said that wasn't my fault, this video's for you. Broken trust. How do you rebuild trust when it's been broken? All right, so what we're really talking about here is high trust, right? How do you get to a level of high trust? And then what happens when something compromises them? Okay, I got tons of stories about this because it's about learning and growing together, all right? The problem is fear, okay? Most people are fearful. They're fear of bringing up a mistake. Why? Because their ego gets in the way. They may look bad. It's just the opposite on the blues and in my life altogether. I want to actually, first off, identify those things, be aware of them, so awareness matters. Then find a tool or path, we call it the Glad to Be Here Debrief, where you actually can discuss this, show that, and here's the most important part, come up with corrective actions so it doesn't happen again. And that's what rebuilds the trust. If you break trust, you're gonna have to rebuild it, and guess what? Small things matter. Okay, that's the deal with trust. It's the small little things in a day-to-day that matter. It's not like one big mistake. Okay, it's over time, and so you want to rebuild the little things every day, and then when the big ones happen, you have that piggy bank of trust that you can take a withdrawal from, okay, because we've been making deposits every day by building trust. Little things matter, and sometimes there is a withdrawal, and then how does the team, how do you respond? Okay, so one big one for me was towards the end of my first year on the Blue Angels, first year flying, I was number 6, right? And we do this maneuver called the loop break cross. Super cool, super fun. All 6 jets go up together and we do a loop, right? And you're about 36 inches. This is now the end of the year, so we're in Opelika, Florida. The weather was gorgeous. One of those crystal clear days. This boss goes, smoke on, boom, you turn smoke on. Up we go, boom, and on the G you go, we're putting backstick in, and nobody bobbles. Sometimes when the boss pulls up, 2 may bobble a little bit, or 3. No, they're perfect. I didn't have to bobble, so we're just like dead solid perfect, which doesn't always happen, right? Because we're always making corrections. Come over the top, it's cool. You tilt your head back, you see the earth, the horizon behind you. It feels like the earth is spinning around you, not you spinning around the earth. Kind of cool stuff. Then you're pointed straight down, and then the boss calls, smoke on, ready, break. And on the B of break, you roll your jet, right? So I've done this hundreds of times, thousands of times. Everything's looking really good. I'm looking at my left wing, ready, smoke on, ready, break, boom. I rolled my jet. I feel a thump. Now this is not a normal thump, right? I'm not talking like turbulence. I'm talking like crap, right? And you ever back into something and not want to turn around and get out of the car and look at it? That's the kind of feeling I had, because I'm like, oh man. But I look over my left wing and part of it's gone. I'm like, dang, I hate when this happens, right? But what really got my attention, and you're still pointing straight down and all that, is there was these hoses flapping in the breeze. I can still see it, right? Silver hoses and red fluid spraying everywhere. And we have a voice actuated voice in the cockpit that tells you when there's a problem. We used to call her Bitchin' Betty. Why? Because anytime she was talking at you, it wasn't good, right? So she comes up, she goes, flight controls, hydraulic failure. I'm like, yeah, no shit. And now what do you do? So, actually it's no big deal. You got backup systems. Just don't panic. Don't make it worse. So boom, recover the airplane, immediate action, no big deal. Now you come and you got to land, and that's where you don't want to screw it up. Do your checklist, have your wingman check you, do all that kind of stuff. And we did, and we landed jet. So how do you think that debrief went that day? First off, we knock off the show, everybody lands, and so we're walking into the debrief, and a couple of really good points here. Did I break trust? Well, probably. You don't want to hit your wingman, right? And then you got to figure out, well, why it happened. So we get in there, and first off, since we do the debrief all the time, and we do it no matter what, it wasn't a new system, and this is a problem in the world, problem in healthcare, problem in business, is typically we only debrief when something goes wrong. That's Not enough. Should you do that? Absolutely. Are there tons of processes and systems to help do that? Yes. But what I'm talking about, and I'm glad to be here, Debrief, is you do this all the time. And you do it to celebrate victories. You do it more of a cadence of execution. Yes, are we learning there? Yeah. Do we want to learn before it becomes a problem like I just explained? Absolutely. You don't want to get to these big levels. But when they happen, you got to deal with them, right? So bottom line is, do you think we jumped right into me and said, Gucci, what went wrong? Well, we have a process. It starts with the boss. You've probably seen this in my debrief videos. Goes to 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm number 6. Finally it gets to me, and everyone's kind of a little interested in what I'm going to say. And I said, boss, I don't know what happened. I said, here's the last thing I remember. Boom, described it. Smoke on, ready, brake, roll the jet, and I feel a thump, right? And that was open and honest. I'm not making up an excuse. I don't know what happened. And that's good, because neither did my teammates. We needed to figure this out. Now, fortunately, we got all kinds of video, and we have people you can reference, and you want to get more than your own perspective. So we're trying to figure it out. Now, from the video, you really can't tell. Everything looks really good. Boom, we roll, and boom. So we're trying to figure it out. It was obvious I'd gotten up the bearing. That's not too hard to figure out, but it still shouldn't hit. Now, did I roll too early? Did Bush roll too late? All these kinds of things could have been the factor. But what it turns out is we're trying to figure this out. And finally, Bush, who I'd hit, by the way, world-class pilot, just rock solid. He goes, hey, Gucci, when you roll your jet, what do you do? Now, that's a stupid-ass question, okay? It's like that's a basic question to a basic aviator. And I'm kind of looking at him, and I'm like, sometimes the most basic question, the most simple question, the most important one, right? I'm looking at him like, Bush, what do you mean? What do I do? And he says, no, tell me, what do you do? I say, well, I turn the smoke on. Smoke happens to be on the left, the throttle, and I roll the jet. But I just said that. And he goes, okay, show me with your hands. So I put my hands up. This is like kindergarten stuff. I go, smoke on, thumb, okay, roll the jet. And he goes, and he saw how I did that with my hand. Now, to you and 99.9% of the pilots in the world, that means nothing. To a Blue Angel, it means a lot, okay? Because what he says, he goes, didn't you cancel? Now, cancel is not what you normally do in a tactical jet, all right? You roll the jet, you just pull and roll, right? In the Blue Angels, we don't do that. You actually go to negative G, it's a quick bunt. You get to, not negative, 0 G. And now if I roll, full stick deflection, I'm gonna pivot the airplane on its longitudinal axis. I won't displace. Every airplane displaces when it rolls. And that's what I had done wrong. He had it. He got to the MS of the situation. Here's what's interesting. I've been doing it wrong all year, okay? We had a problem in our training manual. It wasn't there. By the way, my elite solo had been doing it wrong all year. The Diamond knew in this maneuver, and I knew to cancel in other maneuvers, but for some reason, it wasn't ingrained in here. And so here's the cool part. We identified it, we fixed it. It's now never happened again because we institutionalized the lessons learned from this. And we came up with now the team's even come up with a better way to push out. So you're always getting better. You're learning and growing. But I think the key on that is that, how did we rebuild trust from that? First off, open and honest communication. First off, take the time. Don't hide things. Take the time. When you really want to learn this is not when you hit. It's when you almost hit. By the way, healthcare, near miss, a lot of things. We need to know those things. That's when you got to really go, oh, what were the little nuances? Always look inward first. Point the finger. Anytime you point the finger at someone else, there's 3 of them pointing back, right? So boom, what could I have done? And then pull people around you. Hopefully someone with expertise, but if not, even a new person. What does it look like? Well, let's look at this from different perspectives. And then once you identify it, that's not enough. Now come up with a corrective action. It's usually not too hard once you identify the MS, the root problem. If all you're identifying is correlating problems, you're gonna have it again. Get the MS, get the root cause, identify it, all right? Come up with corrective procedures, which we did. Boom, translate them, put them in, and that's it. That's how, and then what? Execute every day. See, the way you rebuild trust is it's the small things. And it's not necessarily that maneuver. Do you show up on time? Are you dressed appropriately? Can people really tell in the general safe check-in that when you check in, you're not hiding things. You're really being open and honest, clear communication. And sometimes it takes time. By the way, did they ground me? I thought they would. I actually thought, holy crap, they're going to fire me. In fact, I was waiting for the call from the boss that night in the motel. I'm like, boss is going to call me. I'm going, Gucci, I need to see you. You're done. That call never came, by the way. And I didn't know that till I was the next morning. I didn't sleep well that night, as you can imagine. Next morning, I'm like, well, I guess I'll put my flight suit on. No one's called me yet, and show up at the brief. My chair's still there. I guess I'm going to go flying. And that's where real trust is built, because what did the boss do right away? Even before we knew what happened, he calls his boss and says, hey, we had a little mishap. Here's what happened. Here's what we know. I'll get back to you. Boom. And guess what? We were flying the next day, okay, because his boss had the guts to say, all right, I trust you. I know you'll figure this out. And then once we did, we figured it out. We know what the problem is. Corrective action, boom, go for it. That doesn't always happen, okay? Sometimes some of these things, they'll shut the squadron down. They'll go through a big safety stand down, which is important for certain situations. But you can see how quickly we had the trust of our leadership. We had the trust of each other. So even when big things happen, you can rebound quickly. The biggest lesson I want to leave you with, though, is identify this before Gucci hits his wingman. Okay, you want to identify these things ongoing, and you also want to celebrate your victories. That's the coolest part about the Glad to Be Here debrief is you're actually celebrating what's going right. You're not just looking for what went wrong. We are focused on those things, but we're also as much focused on, hey, this went well. Acknowledge people. That's why in my debrief check-ins, the Glad to Be Here says, how am I feeling? Are there any safeties? I just identified a safety. That means something out of parameters. Acknowledge somebody, be grateful. There's always people working the butt off. And then say glad to be here, because the glad to be here will reset your brain. It actually, and we have the science behind this, it'll reset the way you see the world from a positive perspective, from an optimistic perspective that also takes into account risk management, takes into account broken trust. You got to still execute, but we do it in a quick, efficient, powerful way. Put this in your life, not just your business. Put this in your life. Work on your own personal relationships. Watch how quickly these things can come together. All right, glad to be here. Gucci out.